they'll just kill you for fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things that we love about watching, like, Game of Thrones or any of those, like, I know they're fantasy, but they're supposed to be depicting a time in which there was no electronics and no civilization was crazy. People just killed people.
Yeah.
They just decided, I'm going to kill them, and no one could do damn thing about it.
Right.
They'll just beat you to death in front of everybody in the middle of, like, a dining hall, and no one stops it. And you realize, like, well, this is what people did to each other back then.
Yeah.
And if someone just decides that you've dishonored the queen with your jester ways, they're just going to chop your dick off in front of everybody and stuff it in your mouth while you scream and bleed out on the stairs to the throne.
And they barely pay attention because they see it every day. They're not even aghast by your death.
Dude, the whole Dracula, the whole myth of Dracula, like the Dracula story, the Bram Stoker version of Dracula, came out of this legend of Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Tepes, who was a guy who was a real guy who used to torture the enemy and impale them on spikes in front of him while he ate dinner.
No shit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Look at what he used to do. So here's Vlad the Impaler. There's a depiction of him. So he lived Vlad Dracula. He lived in 1476, somewhere around there. Is that what it says? Let's see. Go to his.
That was his third reign. He reigned a few different times. Which wonder how that worked. Who took over while he was not reigning?
But this guy Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracula, he was known for he would cut pieces of a prisoner's flesh off and force them to eat it. He did like horrific shit. So it was 1420. What does it say? 23. 1428 to 1431, somewhere around then. He was born. He died somewhere around 1476. So he's like 45 to 49 years old when he died. They're not sure, but during that time, he was fucking terrifying.
There's so many crazy ways through history that people have mutilated and killed people. You ever heard of a Colombian necktie?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
Yeah, they slice your throat and pull your tongue through your neck. Yeah. It's rough.
That's fucking rough.
That's rough.
And then there's the one called like the Glasgow Smile or something where they take a knife and they cut your cheeks from the corners of your mouth up so for the rest of your life you look like you're smiling.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some evil fucks out there. If you find out what the Comanches did, there's this book, Empire of the Summer Moon.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
When he talks
that guy
about
lives in Austin, right?
Yeah. I had him on the podcast. He's great. It's an amazing book. And he found all that stuff out when he moved here. He moved here and then he started researching the history of the Native American tribes and the Plains tribes. And then he writes this book about the Comanches. It's a fucking crazy story.
Yeah.
But one of the things they did is those people would fight to the death. They never surrendered, because if they surrendered, they assumed they were going to be tortured, because they torture everybody. And they would take people and they would hack their arms and legs off, and while they were alive, throw them on a fire to watch them squirm. The last moments of your life, no arms. They would just hold you down and they just immediately hack off your arms, hack off your legs, then just chuck you on the fire.
Yeah.
And then they just kept doing it to more people, throwing them on the fire.
Damn. And there was a lot of rape. There was a lot of like, you're going to get raped and your family's going to watch.
And you're going to get murdered and your family's going to watch. And everybody got murdered except for the younger kids that they would try to incorporate into the tribe. And they would test them in various ways. And if they failed the test, they would kill them. And if they just kept their shit together, they could eventually become a part of the tribe. And the curious thing is, a lot of those people got captured later and released. The soldiers would, overcome a band of Indians and find captured white settlers, and they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay with the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. That's the Cynthia Ann Parker story. She's the woman who was, she gave birth to Quanah Parker, who was the last Comanche chief.
Yeah.
And he was half white. She was white. She was a white settler who was kidnapped when she was 9. She watched her mother get killed, watched her father get killed.
Didn't they take her away to like Pennsylvania and then she escaped and went back?
Yeah, she went back.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was despondent. Like when they brought her back to regular society, she was despondent.
Mm-hmm.
She did not want to live like that at all. She was in her 30s by then.
Yeah.
And she had just been living with the Comanche.
Mm-hmm.
She was a part of their culture. I mean, it just, it's like a romanticizing it in a lot of our eyes, because everybody, like romanticizes the idea of being a Plains Indian. Wow, it must have been incredible sleeping under the stars. But the people that they did capture and release back into society, they didn't want that. Like, nobody was going the other way. There was no Plains Indians that were like, look, fuck all this. I want to join you guys. I want to be a banker. Like, that wasn't happening. Mm-hmm. But people were leaving, and they were like living with the Indians, and they didn't want to go back. And it wasn't a small number. There was like some miners that struck deals with them, and various people that had made their way across the plain decided to join. And, if you got a good band of Indians that didn't want to kill you because you're a white settler, if you're in the right place at the right time and you joined in, like, for them it was like a better way of life.
Mm-hmm. No, and trying to paint the Indians as good or bad, that's not how it is. It's complicated. It's a culture. And it's kind of just where racism comes in, where everybody has to be seen as good or bad.
Well, they